Public Library from Food to Table online program. Today is another one of those really hot summer days, and I'm thinking about making some yummy for lunch, and I have gone through my garden and I've picked some of my homegrown vegetables, not that many vegetables, and herbs. So let me show you what we're going to work with today. The cucumbers, the different kinds of basil, the Nasturtium flowers, and the garlic chives are from my garden outside, and the tomatoes and the garlic and the avocado is not grown in my garden. My tomatoes are not quite ready yet. So I am trying to make something healthy and fresh for lunch, and crostinis are always a good idea. I like to browse through cookbooks to come up with new and fun ideas to make, and right now the online resources that we have are really the most convenient for me. I use Hoopla a lot, so some of the books that I came across and I really like, Straight from the Earth by Myra Goodman and Cooking in Season by Bridget Binns. So they have been my inspiration to come up with a yummy, fresh recipe for today. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to wash all my produce and let it just dry a little bit, and I am going to slice my bread. Actually, we can do that right now. And I'm going to slice it nice in diagonal slices so they get a little bit bigger. And I think I'm going to do about 8 slices. I'll add one more. I have all my bread sliced that I'm going to use, and I'm going to actually throw these slices on the grill for a couple of minutes to get them nice and toasted up. Measure our beans and into my blender cup here. So we're going to be using a cup and a half of beans. It's 1 cup and a half. And then we're going to use a 1/4 cup olive oil. Okay. And then we're going to use 2 tablespoons. That's my tablespoon of aged balsamic vinegar. 1, 2, and then we're going to 2 teaspoons. And I have a pink Himalayan salt. I like to use that for if I use just fresh food instead of the regular table salt. So we're going to do 2 teaspoons of salt and 1/8 of a teaspoon of white pepper. So I'm just going to eyeball that a little bit. That's my white pepper. And then I have to chop some garlic. I have that peeled and ready to go. And because I'm going to need a little bit more to brush our crostinis later on, I'm going to chop up quite a bit of it. So I like my garlic chopped a little finer, so I am going to spend just a little bit of time chopping that up. Just so I'm going to show you. And we need 2 tablespoons. So 1, and I'm going to show you about the consistency. 1, 2, and actually the rest of my garlic I'm just going to put in my little dish because we are going to need that later. And now I'm going to have to put that in my food processor. I actually, as you can see, just have a little blender. A nice puree. So I'm going to chop my large leaf basil now. Now this basil has been growing very well in my garden this year. I think it really likes all that warm weather, high humidity. I do have to water almost every day. All right, so I need about 1 cup of this. I have my garlic. Oh, let me just get a cup. Okay, I have my glass here, so I'm measuring 1 cup. I'm going to make this in here, and then I like to have a couple of the bigger leaves to as decorations and a real intense flavor when you bite in it, so I'm going to leave that whole. Okay, so we're going to add a pinch of the sea salt in here. 2 tablespoons of the olive oil. Another tablespoon of my garlic, which I already have chopped. And I'm going to mix that all up. That is our glaze. Okay, for our, now I have sliced the avocado, so I can just squeeze it out in slices. Oh, this one is very soft. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to slice up my tomatoes. Now I like different varieties of tomatoes. I particularly like the yellow ones. So I have used some of this, and this is a really fun tomato. It's a purpley one. I do like to experiment with different varieties of tomatoes. Again, my tomatoes in my garden are not quite ripe yet. I do also have quite a variety of different tomatoes growing in my garden. Okay. Okay, so I have my tomatoes, I have my avocado. I have my white bean puree in here, and I have my glaze prepared. That's ready to go. And of course, I have my lovely toasted pieces of ciabatta. So let's assemble some of these. So I'm going to start with a little bit of my glaze here. Okay. I'm going to add a teaspoon, sorry, that's a tablespoon of my white bean puree. Okay. I'm going to have one of my big slices of tomato, one of my slices of avocado. I'm going to show you how that looks, and we're going to just top that off with a little bit of my glaze. And I like to add one leaf Okay, and here's my first one, and I'm going to put it right here for you to have a look at. So let's quickly do the rest of these. Okay, I'm actually going to get this one out here too. I'm going to drizzle some oil on here. I'm going to spread it out. Okay, I'm going to add my white bean puree. Now I chose this particular recipe because I've been planning to have this for lunch, and the white bean puree, first of all, I think it's a nice addition to a crostini, and it gives it a little bit more substance, a little bit of extra protein to go with our tomatoes and bread. Okay, so these two, I'm going to do 2 yellow tomato slices, and this one is going to get another one of those delicious red slices. Of course, avocado adds a little bit of substance to these two, so I feel like I have a complete lunch when I do this. So I've added my avocado. Again, I am just going to drizzle my basil garlic glaze on it. I like all these fresh colors, the greens and the reds. Okay, I do have enough basil to just give that a little bit of extra green. And here are my fresh vine tomato and white bean puree crostinis. Okay, so these are my couple of other slices of the barbecued toasted ciabatta slices. I've just made a tiny little bit more of my basil and olive oil glaze, and of course I have my little cucumbers that I'm going to slice. And I like to slice my cucumbers, I'm just going to put this here on a diagonal. These are the first 2 cucumbers of my harvest. I am quite excited about these. Okay. I have my goat cheese. Again, I'm going to use a little bit of my glaze here. Basil. This one is actually my small leaf basil that I'm trying for this. Olive oil, a little bit of sea salt, small leaf basil from the garden, finely chopped garlic. I'm going to just give that a crack of pepper. Okay, now I'm going to use a little bit of my goat cheese. For each. Okay, and I'm just going to about 2 teaspoon scoops each. I don't need to spread it that much because I'm gonna have my cucumber do that job for me. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna 2 slices of cucumber and I'm pressing it down. I can hardly wait to eat these and try these cucumbers I'm grown, because that's a new crop that I usually don't grow or haven't grown that much. Okay. I'm going to give it a little slice, a little ground pepper on top. And I'm just going to chop my garlic chive into just kind of bigger pieces. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with garlic chives. I really like them. They grow fantastically well in my garden. And they have a really intense oniony garlic flavor, which I absolutely love. I use it mainly in fresh recipes like this. It's absolutely delicious. And these are nasturtium flowers, also from my garden. Now, I don't know if you've ever tried nasturtium flowers. These ones taste initially a little lemony tart and then peppery as a finish, and I absolutely love them. So I'm going to put these on top just like that. And here we go. Now, I'm going to show these to you in a minute. Let me show you our final result. Here are our 2 different kind of crostinis. So over here we have our vine ripe tomato and white bean basil crostinis, and over here we have our goat cheese, cucumber, and nasturtium crostinis. I think they look absolutely delicious and I can hardly wait to try them. This concludes our From Book to Table online program. Thank you for watching. Please follow us on social media and visit us at library.ca to discover more of our online programs and collections. Recipes and such will be in the description box below.